Yes.
They are not going to stop until we're all restored. Good number so far.
What's the order?
Well, I thought we were going to go do this. Yeah, you're going to do this first, and then.
Try to. Sometimes falling is just hard.
Nope, start before you go.
She's saying that we can.
No, not this area. They'll come back right. You can go that way, but we don't do anybody first. Oh, this is so good. Thank you. Thank you.
Stay busy.
I mean, you just name it. We had all the resources that possible could be. Congressman Masters here. We're within minutes. Everybody's boots on the ground. It's 20,000 people on the ground. And we've done 1.4 million registrations. We're talking to all the utility companies, but that's their numbers.
I'm on it.
No, I'm okay if I'm last.
Okay.
All right, hold on 1 second for me. Is everyone ready?
Thank everybody for coming out on short notice.
Yeah.
All right, hold on, please. All right, 1, 2, 3.
Well, first off, it's nice to be here with the sheriff. It's nice to be here with Congressman Mast. It's horrible to see what happened. This hurricane was deadly, maybe a little bit different than what we thought. We've had hurricanes with a lot of storm surge. We got it. A lot of wind, we got it. A lot of rain, we got it. A lot of flooding, we got it. But what surprised everybody is these tornadoes and the death that came with these tornadoes. You look at the building behind us, and you just can't imagine that a tornado would be able to demolish that building like it did. We saw the retirement area, and your heart goes out to the families that lost loved ones there. And I know the sheriff and his team and the other first responders are working their tail off to try to make sure if there's anybody else to try to save. There's got a great sheriff's department here. They're doing a great job. I talked to the president 2 days ago, and I told him, we've got to make sure, and he agreed with me, that we got to make sure that FEMA, all the federal agencies that do disaster release are fully funded. Whether that's FEMA, SBA, HUD, Department of Agriculture, all of them have to be fully funded. I want to thank Congressman Mast for his hard work. He's somebody that really cares about this community, and he's working hard to make sure that this community gets the support it needs. Our officers are working together. You can call his office, you can call my office. You've got to, if you're going to look for any federal relief, you have to basically sign up through FEMA. FEMA is organizes all the different federal agencies, and you've got to sign up. We're going to make sure it's fully funded. HUD's funded, SBA funded, they're all fully funded. So I've been traveling the state. This is my third place today. I've seen a lot of flooding. It's really horrible on the West Coast, some of the flooding. And also we went up to DeLand and saw the flooding there. But I think the sheriff will talk about this. The Florida Sheriff Association does a great job working together. Our police departments work together. All these federal agencies, our state agencies work well together. So I know Florida Power Light has been working hard. They've restored, I think, over 1.4 million homes already. They've got 20,000 linemen working every day to get the power back on. I want to thank them for putting out really good information about when they think people are going to get their power back on. I know we're following it in Naples, where I live, but it's a great company. We got great utilities around the state, but Florida Power and Light is a great leader, and they do a good job bringing people in and getting their stuff done. We have, I think, now over 40,000 linemen in the state. It's similar to what we've done in the past. These are, you look at all the utilities, our publicly traded utilities, our co-ops, our county, our city-owned facilities are all doing a good job of trying to get the power back on as quickly as they can. So let me turn it over to Congressman Mast.
Thanks, Senator. It matters to have all hands on deck from our sheriff, who is absolutely everywhere protecting these communities, making sure that people aren't coming in there sifting through the destroyed homes, and he's out there community after community. And it matters to have everybody up to our senator trying to make sure that the FEMA dollars, the HUD dollars, the SBA dollars are there. My office as well. His staff trying to work to make sure that people can get through to FEMA, or if they don't have ability to get online, here's a computer to do it, just down to minutia things that our staffs are out there just working to try and help people do as community does. Everybody always looks to what's next, what's the next thing. And here's the thing that I've been talking to a lot of people about. The senator and I both have colleagues that deal a lot more with tornadoes than what we do in Florida. And this has been the advice given to me by every one of the both senators and representatives that I've spoken to. And I say this because people are dealing with tornadoes. That's what we're talking about here. So people from Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, they've all been telling me this. As you deal with your insurance company, you might be thinking, thank God my home doesn't look like the one next to me or two over, because it just doesn't look like it's nearly destroyed. You think you're just missing a couple roof tiles or something else. These were tornadoes that are different than hurricanes. They set one home on top of another. They set dumpsters on top of homes. They set cars on top of homes. You might think it's just a couple roof tiles. You better make that insurance company prove to you that your roof trusses are not twisted, that the frame of your home is not twisted, that your home is not somehow pushed off its slab in a way that you can't recognize. You may not see it, but it might actually be that way, just the way people think. If they get into a car accident, hey, they might fix the headlights and the paint, but underneath, the frame might be twisted up. That's the same way you got to think of your home. That was what was told to me by representatives and senators from those states that their people deal with on a regular basis, who deal with tornadoes on a regular basis. Make sure that your insurance company proves to you that those other things like that are not twisted up underneath. That's more than meets the eye. That's the advice I give to people. I thank the senator for being here, and I thank the sheriff for his work.
Again, we've put out a lot of information really quick, but I think the most important thing is if you look around throughout this process, all of our officials who are actually here with boots on the ground. It's not talking points that they're given here. They're here in person. They've sent every resource. There's not been one thing denied. I think we had over 1 million square feet of blue tarps delivered last night and 55 miles of rope that we're able to get out into our community. So we have tons of resources. They are doing everything they can, and we're seeing it right here, and their actions are saving lives. Thank you.
We can answer any questions anybody has.
I've went with the sheriff. What are the names of the 6 individuals and the ages who passed as a result of the tornado?
I'm not releasing the names at this time. We'll follow up with that.
How come?
Well, we're giving the family time to grieve and people to come together. I mean, we want to respect them, don't we? I would think so.
Yeah, we do. We do. We're also trying to inform people whose loved ones are missing. People are asking the names. You guys are investigating it.
Okay.
Next question?
Sure.
Yep, sure.
Senator,
Yeah. No, I think he was up.
Senator, I have a question.
Oh, hi.
You talked about Dave Bowman, WPTV. You talked about getting the funds to FEMA and the other
Right.
agencies to make sure people are taken care of. How adequately staffed, in your opinion, is FEMA right now? Not only to get people to the scene, but to process the forms, make sure there's no fraud and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. First off, what I talked to the president about is one thing that's really going to be important is you get the FEMA people close to where the people are that got injured, right? You can't be a half hour away or something because they can't get there. Especially on the West Coast where so many things are shut down. But even here, so what I talked to the president about 2 days ago, and I'll see him tomorrow, and I'll reiterate it, is the fact that he's got to open up these FEMA centers close to where the impacted people are. The SBA is part of that. What they need to do, what they should do, is they'll open up a village where you can go in, and the state should be doing the same thing with them for the insurance. What Congressman was talking about with the insurance companies, but in SBA's case, you need to go ahead and apply, and our job is going to be to make them sure they have the funds because SBA is the one that does the no interest loans or low interest loans for housing and for businesses. So I talked to the president about it. I talked to the administrative FEMA 2 days ago, and I talked to the individual that runs the Southeast for FEMA every day, and I've told them the same thing. We started, even with Helene, we're doing the same issue because we just had Debbie, and that wasn't a coastal event as much. So
But
it's a big deal.
Do you think the staffing is there right now, or are they going to have to take on?
They're gonna have to bring more people in, but I think they'll. I'm optimistic that they'll get the resources. They got now you got Georgia, East Tennessee, and North Carolina. So, but what they'll do is they'll bring in individuals from other agencies to do it. And what the big thing is trying to get you started. You got to get started in the process. So,
Senator, let me touch on something for FEMA.
here, hold it in a
I'm
second.
going to say something about FEMA as well. Senator and I have both been with the FEMA administrator. He's in constant contact with FEMA and others. And the FEMA administrator was very specific yesterday. I don't know necessarily about in front of the camera, but about tempering expectations of people and what FEMA does and doesn't do. FEMA will come in with individual assistance, and FEMA is capped out, I'm going to round it at $43,000 in individual assistance. It is far more likely, even with the level of destruction that you've seen on these homes, that somebody will receive $4,300 than $43,000. FEMA does not come in to totally rebuild somebody's uninsured home. That's not the nature of what they do, and for the most part, that's not the resources that they are providing. They will assist in providing people with hotels or with rental properties, not just for the short term, but in the long term. They will assist with getting them a type of lodging that they could move onto their property, like a trailer or a fifth wheel or something like that. They will do those things. Those things, in some circumstances, will count against the individual assistance checks that would come to the individual, even if that check was, $5,000. Those assistances that they might give in housing might count against that in some kind of way. So it's important, in my opinion, based upon the conversations that I've had with the FEMA administrators, to make sure people understand what does and what doesn't come in terms of probability from FEMA.
Yes, sir.
I was going to ask that question about FEMA. WPB has 25 years photographer. We wanted to know what are you going to make sure that in order for the citizens to get FEMA assistance.
So here's this process is you got to go apply. All right. So you've got to. Both of our offices will help you do that, and we've got individuals that have done this in the past because of other disasters. We'll help you go through that process, but you got to go apply, and you got to start the process, and you got to be able to document things. And we'll do everything we can to be helpful to you. But the thing is, the Congressman said, we have to understand the limitations of what FEMA does. FEMA historically is a response organization to the governor of a state. So that's how I built a relationship with them, because while I was governor, we had 4 hurricanes, we had flooding, we had tornadoes, and So, and you've got to hit criteria. This clearly hits the criteria for FEMA, but there are limitations. And we'll work with any family. We'll just call one of our offices. I've got offices, 9 offices in the state. You've got offices in this district.
Senator, I'd make one other quick point. St. Lucie County, where you're all standing right now, Fenn Center right now on Virginia Avenue is the go-to place for all levels of government. There is everybody from FEMA there that can help people if they don't have cell service, don't have Wi-Fi, to be able to get online and be on the system and start filling things out. That portal opened in St. Lucie County a few hours ago, let's say about noon today on Saturday. That portal roughly opened. And so the Fenn Center in Fort Pierce on Virginia Avenue, you have everybody from Health and Human Services to our congressional and senatorial offices to people from FEMA, all there, one stop to shop. Not to say they're not out in other places in the communities, they are, but that is the St. Lucie County one stop.
The other thing everybody ought to do is if you're uncomfortable with how you're being treated by insurance company, the first step, what I do, I call the Department of Insurance, and then I call the governor's office, and I would call the CFO, because insurance is a state issue. Now flood insurance is a national issue, so either of us will do everything we can to be helpful on that. But I would go in that order of calling them. But you got to document everything. Anybody else?
Thanks, everybody.
Wait,
All right. You have another one?
How long
Yes,
is
sir.
the process of the cleanup in Port St. Lucie going to take?
Right now, most of our efforts are being focused in that quarter square mile area of Spanish Lakes. That's what was hit the most. It's a 55 older community that's made up of mainly modular homes. So what we would traditionally think of a concrete home in Port St. Lucie with a front door and maybe a roof being missing, these whole homes are missing. So we're finding hundreds of yards away, these trailers are being rolled. So we're going through there. We're not going to leave until every square inch of that area is combed through. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, we're just going to keep going and going. So however long that takes, I'm committed. I know our representatives here are committed to providing the resources to make sure that we find anybody that might potentially be there. But again, this is going to be a long process. A lot of people are snowbirds, so we don't know who's in a residence, who's not in a residence. And then we've also urged people in that community to go seek shelters. So we're trying to go through a Rolodex of those residents there to see if we can make contact with them. Not everybody has a smartphone or a cell phone, especially when we're dealing with the elderly in the community. So we're doing door to door. We're sending deputies out to try to see where they're at, cross-referencing different intelligence to see if they're in another state. But again, regardless, we're going to grid search this entire area because it is complete devastation. So.
Sheriff, just to expand on that, do you have a rough head count of how many people are accounted for versus still missing? Not necessarily that they're gone, but they might be in another state.
I don't have that number. We're not really we're tracking as much as we can. We're marking the properties and the houses. So right now we're not necessarily doing the search or cataloging it from you're the registered owner of this house, or you're the title holder, because they might have rented it out. So we're going plot by plot and doing it off of who could have possibly been there, whether they let somebody stay there, a relative, it was an Airbnb. So there's so much that we're combing through, and we're just over 48 hours, a little bit longer than that out from there. So we're starting that process of data logging everything, and I know that night we were able to relocate, get 25 people out of there, and we got them to emergency shelters. So again, we're pushing through as fast as we can. I'll try to come up with a number. I'll ask our team there, but again, right now our focus is going through that rubble and finding and saving as many lives as we can.
Do you still believe that this, obviously Wednesday night and even Thursday, was a search and rescue? Mm-hmm. Is it fair to call it a search and recovery, or is it still?
I want to stay optimistic. I'm going to stay optimistic all the way through, but we know the reality of it is a lot of elderly people have medical conditions. We're going well and beyond 48 hours. That means 48 hours of no water, 48 hours of no food. On top of that, no medication. So I'm going to stay optimistic and say we're going to continue to rescue. But again, we want to make sure that we're able to bring closure and recover anybody that might be still stuck in this rubble.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. Thank you for coming.
We can't walk through with them, right?
No, sir.